working and then trying to go to school, I was sleeping half the classes, right?
Yeah.
So basically what I did was, instead of the guard GI Bill, I said, to heck with that. I'm not disciplined enough I'm not spending their money like this. This is ridiculous. So I stopped. And then I started paying myself for my classes,
okay.
and I finally made it. But it took me 6 years, right? And remember the saying for that, right? 6 years in college for a 2-year degree, you must be a doctor. Well, no, I'm not a doctor. I am a doc, though, on the corpsman, right? On the corpsman side of it, I'm a doc. But yeah, I mean, so that was some being very patient, waiting on the highway patrol thing, the academy up in Raleigh. And then one Sunday, I remember this like it was yesterday, there was a Parade magazine inside the Sunday paper. You know, the Sunday papers are really thick. And I pulled that little Parade magazine out, and on the front cover of that magazine, it had one of the candidates and buds was climbing underneath the barbed wire. And I don't remember that. I don't even know what the name of that obstacle was.
I think it was just called the barbed wire.
You had to get down on your face, right? And I saw the name was stenciled on his chest. He had a nice haircut, right? High and tight. And I go, you know what? And the caption on the front of that magazine, "Are the Navy SEALs the toughest men alive?" So at the time, I had a girlfriend. You know, she wanted to get married, and all I had seen was North Carolina and Oklahoma, and in the Air Guard, I got to go to Germany. So I kind of got the bug. I'm like, man, I like this traveling. You know, the Air Guard. You know, flying on C-130s, and you know, went back in the day 141s when we'd go over across the pond. But I really liked that, and I go. And then when I read that article, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm joining the Navy, because I had two choices at the recruiters, right? I talked to the Army guys about flying Apaches, helicopters. Well, they were going, hey, that's great. We'll get you at Rucker Flight School. But before you go to Rucker, we want you to go to Army Ranger School. So I had a Ranger buddy of mine I played football with in high school. And I called him and I go, hey, you know, Jeff, what's the deal with they want me to go to Ranger School before they'll sign me for a flight spot. And he goes, don't do it. He says, they get you in a Ranger battalion, you're not leaving. You're not going to leave for about 4 years or a couple tours. And at the time, I was 24, 25, right? And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. Went straight into the Navy and said, hey, I want to be a SEAL. They look at me kind of funny and go, can you swim? And I go, yes. And they went, all right, let's do this. But back then, right, we didn't have contracts, right? Yeah. There was no guarantee. So what you had to do is join the Navy, get a rate, right? I think I was a boatswain mate at the time when I went in, because it's one of those deals where you just get in, they'll assign you a rate. So I was a boatswain mate when I went through boot camp. And then comes to the point where you raise your hand. Do you want to go SEAL, EOD, you know, diver, you know, all of those communities? And I went, well, I'm signing up for SEAL. Went through the process, and then the next thing you know, you get orders.
Did you train, like once you made that decision, did you train any extra? You just freaking was going to be dog.
You know what? I just figured, you know, I played football. I was lifting weights a lot. So I was probably a little more muscle than I needed to be if I knew what was coming. If I knew that being a sugar cookie was going to be on a daily basis. Salt water is going to be part of you. And pool too, right? Because I've been in some pool situations where, you know, it rips your heart out. Doesn't it? I mean, when they put towels in your hands and say, do the butterfly, and I go, wait a minute, I can't do the butterfly without towels, right? Well, do the best you can, shut up and jump in the pool, right, and get the towels going. But that was something that was you can't train for that. You know?
What year was it? So what year did you join the Navy?
87. May of 87. So at that point in time, I got a letter in the mail. Once I shipped out to boot camp, I got a letter from the Highway Patrol.
Damn.
But it was a month late,
Day
right?
Late, a dollar short.
That's right. No turning back at this point, right? So as I look back on that, you know, I could have been a highway patrolman and then, you know, done a long career, but what would I have seen? I'd have saw North Carolina. I'd have probably moved around to different counties. You got 100 counties in North Carolina. So I'd have probably bounced around 3, 4, 10 counties and, you know, in a patrol car and whatever, right? And I look back on my Navy career, and as you well know, we're global, right? I mean, so, you know, out of North Carolina, you know,
big world to see.
North Kakalaki's in the rear view, right? So, but you know, back then though, Jocko, wasn't a lot of talk about Navy SEALs. No. You know, we didn't have any like it is now, with the movies and all of these series that are out about Navy SEALs, the UBL mission, all of that. And then now it's all like, hey, what did you do? You was a SEAL? And so people have a certain, perspective of Navy SEALs when you talk about it today. But when I went in, you could say Navy SEAL.
Yeah, no one knew that.
When I met Lisa over in Guam, we said SEAL, and she's like, well, what is that? In the water? The SEALs are in the water?
Yeah.
So they, the public awareness at that time was like zero. So, Echo, I mean,
yes, sir.
I know, how old are you? Echo?
47.
47. So, and now it's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Good or bad, right?
Yeah.
The good is that, we still need people.
Yeah.
We need young men to step up and take on this ultimate challenge. And the bad side of it is we don't want to be looked at as people that are not silent professionals, right? Because, when I was at SEAL Team 1, it was all about being a silent professional, not about beating your chest when you go down to the bars or in Coronado and go, hey, I'm a Navy. You didn't say that, right?
No.
So
Team 1 was definitely tight on that stuff.
That was a tight command, right?
That was a tight command.
I think that's what basically broke me from a haircut, because I love haircuts.
Yeah.
And I started loving them when I was at SEAL Team 1. So if you didn't have a haircut, you were going to be doing some push-ups.
When you went to Navy boot camp, how was the contrast like? Because you already had been through Army boot camp, you must have been in Navy boot camp. Just going, it was a cakewalk. And then I got, since I was 25 when I went through, or 24 at the time, I believe, I was RPOC. Okay.
So I'm not sure what RPOC stands for now.
It stands for Recruit Chief Petty Officer, and it's still a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was, and I had two of the the boot camp instructors that were great guys, and they just basically, hey, you got it, RPOC, I'm leaving. So it's basically about, hey, just making sure people are squaring away their gear, keeping the place clean, and then if we go anywhere, make sure we're accountable and we check out every day, right?
And then
much.
You when you show up to Buds finally, what was your first impression of Buds?
Oh, it's a rude awakening, right? And you cross that quarterdeck. Because as soon as you cross the quarterdeck, somebody's got you, right? they got eyes on you. It's like this place got cameras all over the place. But them is instructors. Mm-hmm. We had an old Master Chief that was, he was welcome aboard. He says, who are you? Where are you from? Good, right? Go sweep this hallway or go do something menial. Mm-hmm. So it was a awakening, right? And then of course you walk out on a grinder. And you see all those helmets, the classes that are in front of you. Mm-hmm. And I was like thinking, what is that? Are those winners? Are there a reason that those helmets are laying on the ground and all lined up perfectly?
Yeah.
Nope, those are not winners.
No, those are quitters.
They going home. They decided to go home.